Okay, great. So I am presenting on our MSc in Psychology conversion program in the School of Psychology. I'm the program coordinator for the program. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what a conversion program is in psychology, who it may be relevant to, and just give some details on the program itself. So anyone who wants to contact me directly after this as well, this is my contact details, simon.dunn@dcu.ie. So first of all, what is a conversion program? When you're talking about a conversion program, it's typically really regarded as a fast-track route for graduates in another discipline to enter an entirely new discipline. And so to convert a pre-existing qualification that you have, and in this case, one that potentially has touched on a little bit of psychology or a little bit of research that might be relevant. So it's a the UK model for graduate conversion in psychology is at level 9 or master's level, and I often get asked what makes this program slightly different to some of the other conversion programs that are out there in particularly in the Greater Dublin area, that are actually at a level 8. And really it is just that it's taking the UK model, and what it also means is just that the way all of the material is assessed is at a master's level. Okay, but what we're still talking about is kind of equivalent to from an accreditation perspective. It's equivalent to some of those other level 8 conversion programs. So importantly, anyway, it's a progression option for those who graduates who wish to change career direction into psychology. There's often a clear strength in actually bringing together people from diverse disciplines who have maybe already studied something else or been out in the workforce and actually in an applied career. Some people coming from psychotherapy or social work or education, for instance, coming together into a class, and actually there's great learning opportunities from these different disciplines, learning the same subject together. It is about pre-professional training. So what that means is it's about actually trying to get a PSI accredited qualification in psychology. So PSI is the Psychological Society of Ireland in Ireland, which accredits the all of the psychology degrees. That is kind of a necessary stepping stone for basically further study if somebody wanted to become an educational psychologist, a forensic psychologist, or a clinical psychologist or counseling psychologist, for instance. You have to first of all get one of these very broad psychology related degrees. So a broad look at psychology as a field, which is a very diverse field, which we'll see now in a minute. So really it's a springboard for further professional training. So this would be the equivalent of, from the Psychological Society of Ireland's point of view, as a first qualification in psychology. Okay, so what is psychology? Psychology, the scientific study of the human mind and behavior. So all about how we think, how we act, how we react and interact, both individually and as groups in the social world as well. So this conversion program at DCU, just some characteristics of it. It's a level 9 award, as I mentioned. It is accredited by the Psychological Society of Ireland. And it involves one calendar. It is a full-time program. We currently don't offer a part-time option for this program. So it is a 1 year full-time, fairly intensive program that has 90 credits over, over 1 calendar year. And it covers the Psychological Society of Ireland key identified pillar areas in psychology, which we'll talk about in a moment. And there's an intake of about 20 students per year on a full-time basis. So what will you learn with us? I suppose key elements of the program. There's a significant research project that is undertaken. It kind of kicks off somewhere around halfway through the first semester and continues on through until the end of the kind of summer period. Which we'll talk about now in a moment. The course covers these core PSI pillar areas, designated broad subject areas of psychology. And there is an elective choice for one kind of slightly more applied or specialty discipline in the second semester as well. Okay, so what am I talking about when I talk about the pillar areas in psychology? So broadly speaking, the Psychological Society of Ireland recognises these broad areas or sub-disciplines within psychology that are quite distinct from each other. So kind of going from right to left, actually, probably is the easiest. We have social psychology, which is all about how we, we interact with others in our social world. So how we make friends and also romantic relationships, for instance, or how we influence people in work and in group settings. The individual difference strand focuses on kind of well-being and psychological health, and also covers other areas of sort of difference, such as personality and intelligence, for instance, as well. Biological psychology area looks at the brain and its, how our behavior interacts with the brain, as well. Cognitive psychology is all about how we think, make decisions, and also would cover the area of memory as well. And the lifespan developmental pillar covers kind of the learning of the human being from early childhood right through to the end of life, actually, and all the various kind of life stages that people go through as well. So all 5 of those key pillar areas are capped off then by research literacy, which spans throughout the entire year. So just to jump into specific modules, just to give a flavor of it, and what you will see is this is a range of all the different modules in the first semester. So you see, it actually is quite an intense program. In order to, convert a pre-existing degree into a Psychological Society of Ireland accredited degree, there's quite a lot of, coursework required. The majority of it is of a continuous assessment, so assignment based rather than exams, although in just a couple of places there are exams, so relating to the research skills. And the kind of brain related work as well is also there is an exam relating to that. So what you see in the first semester, it actually is really the modules all kind of basically cover these key pillar areas. So kind of an introductory to each of these pillar areas. The research project also kicks off, and there's this research skills module. In the second semester, it really sort of picks up a notch, or goes with that base material and looks at the subject of psychology in much more specific and applied ways. So there's the advanced conceptual issues and innovations in psychology, which looks at big questions in psychology, like things like how research is done in psychology, also kind of emerging hot topics such as gender and how the different sort of perspectives of psychology look at the subject of gender, and how that has evolved and changed over the last while. Innovative approaches in psychology strand of that module also looks at technology and how psychologists are using technology in different and innovative ways as well. The individual difference, psychological measurement and assessment module then takes up from where the psychological well-being module in the first semester sort of started off, and it goes into a bit more detail. There's actually a really nice project involved in the assessment of that module, which is about actually designing a measurement tool in psychology. Clinical and experimental neuropsychology then picks up the kind of brain and behavior piece, and actually looks at in a really applied way how psychologists in, for instance, a hospital setting might evaluate somebody who comes in with a kind of a neurocognitive difficulty. So we'll say after a stroke or something, how those individuals are assessed in terms of their personality or key aspects of their intelligence and ability to make decisions. The social cognitive psychology module kind of brings together these two strands of psychology in this new kind of emerging field as well. So it takes on that work that is kind of looked at separately in the first semester module and brings it on. And the research skills and research project modules continue as well. There is, as I mentioned, an elective choice as well between three different modules that kind of specialize in different ways. There's crime and psychology, which looks at really takes the social psychology element forward a bit in that specific applied arena of crime and forensic psychology. Psychology of self-control, all about how we, regulate our behaviors and emotions, and that is that kind of builds from the cognitive psychology area. And then there's counseling and psychology, which really looks at counseling, and there is a kind of a practical element to that module involving learning and assessment of some counseling skills as well. Research project module then, as I mentioned, it continues through to a third semester in the summer period as well. So just a note on eligibility, because it's a one-year conversion program, so squeezing a lot in to 1 year. There is also our PSI accreditation is based on that there is a requirement that the prior degree had some elements or some relation to the material that would allow someone to kind of hit the ground running with this quite intensive program, as is quite common in all of the other conversion programs in Ireland. So eligibility for the program, because it is a master's level program as well, applicants ideally would hold H2-1 honours degree at level 8, and they should have accrued, it says, 60 European credit transfer system credits in psychology and or research methods in combination. So what does that mean? It's basically the equivalent of about a year or so's full-time psychology or research related modules. This is the part that I get questions on all the time. So it is really important to kind of follow up with me just in terms of, what you have done before and whether you would have eligibility on that basis. There is a possibility of kind of, I can also advise if you've made up, if you've covered some material relating to psychology or research methods that's relevant, but you don't have the full 60 credits, I can advise as well, specifically on how you might be able to make up those credits. So as with the Wellbeing Masters, the closing date for applications is Monday, 31st of March, 2025. And yeah, any queries relating to eligibility should be directed to me. So where can you go with psychology conversion qualification? So a conversion qualification equips you a huge range of skills appropriate to a successful, sustainable and rewarding career in a diverse range of professions. Psychology graduates really are some of the most sought after, and many go on to further study in psychology in specialist areas of psychology, so be that research, clinical, educational psychology, or organizational psychology, working in, or working specifically in like HR or in public or private realms. But there's a huge range of skills in a psychology degree that would enable you to kind of go forward in many disciplines within the public and private sector. So huge range of different transferable skills in relation to, that are taught and that you would gain through the work on this program as well. So question is psychology for you? We would say if you have an inquiring mind and interested in understanding human behavior and the mind, and you like the challenge and rewards of in-depth study because it is quite an intensive program, as I said, and have the ability to question in a critical way, then we would say yes. So I'm happy to take any questions that you may have as well.